Microblading is a semi-permanent cosmetic tattoo that fills in sparse eyebrows. I get a lot of clients asking me how often they need to come in for their touch-up. And that's a hard question to answer because it varies depending on the client. Depending on their skin type and makeup preferences, it can last anywhere from a year to 3 years. And I've actually seen clients where it lasts longer than 3 years. So what I recommend is an annual color. But typically what I recommend is that a client comes in annually just to do a color boost so that we can freshen up their microblading. But what is the difference between the initial microblading appointment and a color boost? I'm going to show you in this video what to look for in a color boost so that you can give your clients some boss brows. If you're new to my channel, my name is Christy and I'm the owner of Boss Brows. I've been in the beauty industry for almost 9 years as an esthetician, 4 times certified microblading artist and trainer. I'm all about sharing tips and tricks as a microblading artist and my experience as a business owner. So if this sounds like something you're into, then make sure to subscribe. I come out with new videos every Tuesday. So the first thing I do before the client comes in is I look over the notes from their last appointment. It's really important to keep notes for every client you have because you may think that you're gonna remember, but a year, 2 years later, when they come back in, you might forget what color you used, whether they were a bleeder or not, and it's just really important to keep those things down to ensure for a really good service. So the first thing I did before Ashley came in is I reviewed her notes to see what color I used, what skin type she had, what service we did, and whether she was a bleeder or not. Ashley had perfect skin to work on, so she didn't really bleed a lot. We started off with the microblading strokes, and then at her touch-up, we did a little bit of shading, right? Yeah, we added a little bit of shading, and we used Dark Brown by Tina Davies. So these are things that I want to look at so that when I go and do another consult on her, I can ask her how she liked her brows and if there's anything we need to change. Which brings me to my next point. When the client comes in, you want to do another mini consult because now that they've had microblading, they may change their mind. Maybe they want to go bolder, thicker, darker, which in most cases, most of my clients want to go thicker, bolder, darker now that they're used to the microbladed brows. First thing I do when I'm doing the pre-draw for a color boost is I look at the overall shape and see how much it's faded. I also look to see how well those strokes have stayed intact because in a microblading color boost, we want to go over the exact same stroke. So sometimes it's hard to see all of your strokes when you outline the brows like you do at your initial microblading appointment. So in this case, I decide whether I want to actually draw in the strokes with my brow pencil or if I want to actually draw in the eyebrow shape with my microblading pencil. Okay, so she approved her shape, and I'm just going to very lightly put the numbing cream on without messing up my strokes. And if you want to know how to numb your client without messing up your brow mapping, I have a video on that as well. There is an art to it. And once you're done applying the numbing cream, grab a piece of saran wrap and just gently place it over their brows. This helps it to numb better. Alright, so right now I'm just going over all of those strokes that I drew in. You want to go over the exact same strokes from the initial microblading appointment. That way your strokes will look more crisp than if you were to create new strokes. You're just redefining what's already there. I just put a little bit of pigment on my blade each time so that I can see each stroke that I'm laying down without the pigment taking over the eyebrow. So try not to put too much pigment on the blade, just enough. You can always deposit more pigment later during the pigment mask. So right now I'm treating it exactly how I would treat the initial microblading appointment. I'm gonna go over her right and left brow 2 times. The only difference is that there's pigment already there, so you're just revamping it. She's an apple, so you're really going to get nice clean strokes as long as they're executed properly, going into the skin at 90 degrees. After you've gone over the brows twice and masked for 10 minutes, you'll clean the brows and review aftercare with your client. Lastly, take some photos of your beautiful brows. And that's how you do a color boost.